James Harden last night, I'm going to go ahead and share this on the screen, but James Harden last night hit 28,597 points, passing Shaquille O'Neal. Thoughts on this?
I live in a space where we are so negative about guys when we should be praising them a lot more than we do. I mean, James Harden been in the league since 2009. And with him being in the league since 2009, never missing the playoffs, been a bucket getter ever since he came into the league, even as a rotation guy. I don't think that we've spoken about James Harden. I don't mean us specifically. I mean the basketball community, people who watch basketball. I don't think they talk about James Harden and the bucket getter that he really is over the course of his career. I always felt like statistics don't say everything, but I do think that they validate you in some areas. And with James Harden moving up the scoring list and being in the top 10 all time in scoring, I think that this validates him as one of the best bucket getters in NBA history. But I was thinking to myself, in terms of guards, like where does James Harden rank amongst the all-time great guards as a bucket getter? Because I remember James Harden as a ball handler. I'm not particularly fond of James Harden's game. James Harden Ox is the chick that James Harden Ox. She's the chick that you might not marry her, but you will definitely go out and you will definitely smash. Yes, you will. 100%. You will definitely smash her. But you ain't really marrying her and you ain't really hanging out with her too long. That's who James Harden is to me. He's the guy who I'm not particularly fond of his game, but he got a lot of stuff in his game that's just so polarizing, like his ability to handle the basketball and get by guys. Well, it's obvious today that the athleticism of James Harden has waned, but he can still get by guys, which tells me that, yo, don't forget who this guy used to be when he was blowing guys' doors off and getting to the rim and punching on guys, when he was creating this much space on a step back and cracking the long ball. I just feel like with a guy like James Harden, when I think about the pantheon of not just players, just guards in particular, like where does James Harden rank amongst the all-time guards in terms of scoring? Because I think he's up there. I do. When I think about Bryant, when I think about Jordan, I think about Bryant, Jerry West, Oscar Robertson, Allen Iverson, Dwayne Wade. I think he's Steph Curry. I think he's right in the middle of that. Like we can have a real conversation about James Harden as a bucket getter.
Well, Chill, when you talk about scoring, like just objectively, we talking about just basketball, just objectively, just putting the ball in the basket.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, how we feel about play style. Damn, how we feel about is it winning style. Damn, how we feel about all the narratives and the hoopla, the riffraff. Damn, how we feel about trill burgers and strip clubs. If we talk about just putting that ball in the basket, James Harden is absolutely amongst the greatest we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about it. You can't debate it. You can't debate it. It's nothing you can say to discredit his ability to put that ball in the basket.
Mm-hmm.
Always, it's really just that simple. If you're talking about just scoring the ball, there's nothing you can say about it. He's amongst the greatest we've ever laid our eyes on, no doubt.
I can get with that. Yeah, I could definitely get with that.
Mark the day down. It will be January 14th when DeMar DeRozan will pass Kevin Garnett on the all-time scoring list.
Debo coming.
That's coming up. That's coming up in a day. As long as he, cracks 20 points, which he will. I don't know, man. I think the rules have been adjusted so much for scorers today that it's really difficult for me to contextualize what Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant had to go through in the mid-2000s or early 90s versus the freedom of movement that scorers get today. Sure. You're going to see this list in 15 years, and it's going to be a lot of guys who were born after year 2000. It's just the way it goes.
So what does that mean, though, Penn? Are they? Is it just too easy to score now? Like, I don't know. Like, what do you mean by that? Like,
Everything has been designed. Like, the game has structured itself to benefit players like James Harden, on-ball creators like Luka Doncic, right? And so I think that when you compare James Harden to Tracy McGrady, Dwayne Wade, it's not necessarily fair because they didn't have the same context to score in. You know what I mean?
Even if that's true, because it is, because yes, I do have an advantage because you can't put your hands on me as much, right? So I get to go to the free throw line.
That's one part of it.
Yeah, you can't put your hands on me as much, so I get to move without the basketball. I get to move with the basketball. I don't have to play through as much traffic so to speak. But with that being said, I mean, what does that say about these guys? Because not everybody's doing it. I mean, that's why I think a guy like James Harden is special, because not everybody is doing what James Harden did. Not everybody is doing what Russell Westbrook did. There's only a handful of guys who are still in the league that came in during that time. And there's not only is there only a handful of guys who came in during that time. Mars, I'm from a time where, when guys were scoring 22,000 points, that was a big deal. Guys were scoring 24,000 points. That was a big deal. I'm living in a time where, people are scoffing at a guy scoring 27, 28,000 points and passing up guys scoring almost 30,000 points. And I think this is I think this era of basketball in terms of getting buckets, it's been great. I'm just glad to be around to be able to say I saw James Harden, I saw Damian Lillard, I saw Russell Westbrook, I saw Steph Curry, I saw Kyrie Irving. I was around when them dudes was playing, and I saw what it looked like.
I said this before, and I'm gonna say this again.
Show me your display pic. Show me your display pic for a sec. Turn your camera off for a sec. No. Turn your camera off for a second, and let me just see your display pic. Is that fat suit Harden?
No, that's
you stealthy mother.
That's ninth all-time scoring Harden right there. And I just want to say this, y'all. I really do want to say this. And I've said it before. I don't necessarily care how much or care the way you get your money. See, a lot of people will judge you at how you get your money.
Sure.
That's not that's not me. It doesn't matter to me how you get your money. If you become a millionaire or if you became a billionaire, you did it how you did it. Some people did it in a sleazy way. Some people did it ethically. Some people got it inherited. However, if you're a billionaire, you're a billionaire. A lot of times we will judge people on, and we're doing it with Luka Doncic right now. Oh, he's leading the league in scoring. He's scoring 33, but he's doing it with foul baiting, and he's not really doing this. He's not even getting to the hoop. We can do that, and it is a time and place for that. But also, too, we just got to acknowledge if a guy's getting 30 night after night after night, he's getting it. Like, these defenses are game planning to stop him. These defenders are doing the best they can. Nobody's just letting you score. I promise you, that's not. It might be some terrible
that
defenses.
Part right there, Ron. That part right there. That part.
Nobody's letting you get this money.
No, you're not.
And they're doing it at the highest level. The best defenders, the most athletic teams, the best coaches, I guess you could say, the best league in the world. And these guys are doing this at a high level. Ken, I know that there were generations where it was harder. I know we can put that in context, but also, was there potentially generations where it was easier? 60s, where they was getting up and down, 70s and stuff like that? I don't know. That's not what I want to get into as of right now. We can't get there. I just want to say James Harden got a hell of a lot of buckets over a hell of a lot of seasons, and he was unstoppable. And so, like, regardless of whether we're air attacks in it or not, for him to do this is ridiculous.
Well,
it's
Ron,
ridiculous. Like, look at the names he's up there with, Chill.
Yes, I think he could pass Chamberlain next season. I think he'll get close to 30,000. Well, he's already close to 30,000 now, but I think he'll get closer to 30,000 before this season is over. If he doesn't, I think he could pass Chamberlain by next year. Pass Chamberlain. Well, Kevin Durant's still playing, so he's not going to pass KD. So KD's still playing, but he could. I think he can get to Dirk. I don't think that's ridiculous to think that he could get to Dirk. I don't. And to your point, Ron, yes, it's not easy to score, but also please don't leave out that in these other eras that we talk about, you have opportunities to score. For example, Penn in the 80s and the 90s. Yes, there was a level of physicality that you had to play through, but you know what else you had to do too? You had to be a guy who could make open shots because that big man was doubled. And if you can't make open shots, you're going to kill us. And a lot of guys couldn't make open shots, but there were guys who could make open shots. That's why they were on the floor. So in this era, even though we did have the freedom of movement, guys still got to be able to get buckets. And there's guys who could get buckets, and then there was different levels, like James Harden, Damian Lillard, like all those guys, Kyrie Irving. They were on a different level when it came to getting buckets. And I also have to compound James Harden's longevity. When we're talking about a guy who's been able to get buckets for that long, that's a big ass deal, man. It is.
For sure. I think I'm not only just talking about the congested paint of previous eras, which naturally makes some of what James Harden does a little bit more difficult. But I'm also talking about just the complexity of moves that you're able to pull off as a ball handler these days. You're not able to do this 30 years ago. They call it travel on every single play if you try to pull half these things off. So I just think that offense has evolved, and I think the league has looked the other way to make it more of a good fan experience. And what's a good fan experience? Seeing James Harden score 40. So yeah, respect to James Harden. I think he's a top 5 guard scorer, top 6 guard scorer of all time. I think that's probably fair. It's great, be great.
I think he falls into that cat. I think we can have a conversation about him in that space. Like when you think about, and be clear, guys, just because I average a lot of points does not mean I'm a better scorer than this other person. And just because I don't average a lot of points does not mean that I can't score with this other person either.
Right.
It's the panel. Religion get built on cam. Where the check throw smoke and the host go ham. You ain't never seen hoops all hit the raw. Every take got weight, every night we drop. This that barbershop. Courtside, worldwide tone. Welcome to the only show that really feel like numbers jumping like the score.